Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our October edition of Health Chats. Today, we will be covering mental health and the holidays. I am your host, Maribel Ochoa. I'm actually filling in for Tiffany today. We all deserve a mental health day or a day off, and that's exactly where she's at today, enjoying her Friday. So, with that, we're excited to talk about mental health in the holidays, a subject matter we've actually never discussed here at United Ag, but it's super important. So, as many instances, it's the most wonderful time of the year, but it can also be the most stressful. And so, with that, we're super excited to have our partner and friends at Spring Health be here to talk to us a little bit about mental health and the holidays and what resources are available to our members and our family members. And so, with that, I introduce Brittany Soriano, Partnership Success Manager at Spring Health. Brittany? One second, Brittany, can you hear me? All right, give me one second. Here she is.
Hey everyone, sorry about that. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. It wouldn't be a Friday without some. Let me share my screen really quickly. I believe you're just on the cusp of introducing me, Maribel, as my Wi-Fi gave up on me.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's all yours, basically. So I've already officially introduced you, and let's get started.
Thanks so much. So thank you for the introductions. So I am the Partnership Success Manager here at Spring Health. I've been working really closely with the United Ag team since we launched this benefit this past summer, but super excited to be here today to really focus on how to talk about mental health, not only in the storm that 2020 has been lately, but also just going into the holidays and being able to equip your team with different tools as well as exercises to be able to handle the holidays this year. So I think it's helpful, and I believe I met some of the folks here in the United Ag team, but just so I can introduce myself to everyone on the call today. Again, I'm the Partnership Success Manager here at Spring. I want to start off every conversation with the team with, what brought me to Spring Health in the first place, and kind of share my own personal story of how I ended here. So last year, I had a couple of family emergencies come up in the middle of a huge professional transition for me. To say that I was lost at the time was an understatement, and it was really the first time in my life that I even considered the idea of mental health and, what does that mean for me individually. So I tried to start up for my, look for help through my company's EAP at the time. And I was super disappointed and a little bit honestly confused as far as the different resources that they offered, understanding that there were services that they were investing in, but not necessarily knowing what that meant for me. So for a few reasons, the confusion is there's very little transparency in the costs associated with mental health services. The process was really slow. So I had to first find the right insurance, and then from there, search for a provider on my own, and then lastly, wait to be seen by that provider. So it actually took me 4 different providers, over a month and a half of me trying to search for the right provider for different types of uncomfortable intros and re-explaining my story to even get some help and some support. So as a first generation American, there was already a stigma I grew up with around mental health. And it wasn't really until joining Spring that I learned about mental health and how life-changing it can be to put your mental health first and being able to take care of yourself emotionally on a daily basis, and also being able to be aware of the services that your team offers. So before I dive into Spring Health and explore the different mental health services our team offers, I just wanted to take some time to acknowledge this year's additional stressors, as well as how we can move into the holiday season. So I want to address two topics that continue to affect us all and will continue to affect us all as we head into the holidays and really just face this conversation head on. First, this COVID climate and the uncertainty has definitely taken a toll on people's mental well-being. This has been something that we see not only in the members at United Ag, but across our partners. Isolation has definitely been a primary factor in increases in depression, anxiety, and other significant mental health issues, and the need for physical and social distancing, masks, sanitizing, hand washing. These have only exacerbated these emotions. So really being able to take a step back and acknowledge that, and being able to realize that there are different ways that we can still keep our control over our lives, even with everything that's happening around us. So in addition to that, you can also see here on the third stat that there's also a new level of economic anxiety that people are experiencing. So here at Spring Team, I think our care team here can attest to it. We've been hearing about issues like this from our members, including childcare concerns, since school has started for many, as well as how do we manage with the holidays coming up. The holidays this year will be a little bit different for everybody. Some people are unable to go home to their families. Other than that, the sun will be going on sooner. So seasonal depression is also something that is on our radar and things that we are expecting members to experience. But with that, understanding how to navigate this new reality will be the focus point these next couple of months. And so when we were asked to speak during this conversation, really brainstormed with our care team what that looks like for 2020. And I like to narrow it down to this theme of put your own mask on first. So I challenge you to think of the holidays a little bit differently this year. First and foremost, it's going to be super important that you take care of yourself. Since people won't be able to go home for Christmas, work will be, 2 steps away as far as your desk being right there in the room with you. It's going to be super challenging, not only for individuals, but for entire families, as well as communities. And really just harnessing the message here that you cannot help other people without first taking care of yourself. So again, focusing on what you can control. How do you take care of yourself during these times? First and foremost, we want to take a look at acknowledging the intensity of your feelings. So looking for support from your family members, sharing your feelings with family, friends, seeking support from your managers, your colleagues, and also avoid being over-involved and stressing yourself more than you need to these holidays. It's going to be a new frontier for all of us in terms of being able to navigate what the holiday season will look like. So today, at the end of today's call, we'll be going over a couple of tools as well as exercises to help support you during these next few months of uncertainty, and also to remind you that Spring Health is here for you in terms of any support that you need from a mental health standpoint. So I'll go ahead and deep dive into who Spring Health is and how you can leverage us in the next couple months. Great, so who is Spring Health? So I'm not sure how many people are on the call who have been able to work with some of our care team yet, but wanted to start from the ground here in terms of sharing who Spring Health is and what's available to you today. So at the very basic level, Spring is a web-based and video conferencing service that provides free therapy sessions as well as tools to support your mental health, no matter how big or small. This is everything from your subclinical concerns to your medication management. So really understanding here that the individual member has their own mental health journey going, and in terms of how do we support that journey along the way. So we're not only built on science, but we're also the only clinically validated solution available and the first service to ever think of using machine learning and predicting risk. And what that means for a member is really minimizes the time that a member is able to get better in the shorter amount of appointments. So taking a look at what your team has been available for you, I like to think of Spring Health as kind of your personal trainer for your mental health. It's a full team here at Spring, from our care navigators to our providers, as well as some releases that I'll share with you in the next couple of slides. So taking a look at what we have available for the United Ag team and your members, we not only offer the coaching, therapy, med management, but we also have on the opposite ends of our spectrum, crisis support for those folks who are really struggling, and as well as our in-app moments exercises. So this past September, we have released our first CBT digital exercise tool. And what that means is a cognitive behavioral tool that allows people to get real-time help for their mental health services. So you want to think of this as a meditation, a mindfulness app to kind of walk you through different exercises to help you feel better faster. So at no cost to you, you can use Spring Health for several things. Again, I mentioned the in-app wellness exercises. A lot of folks in United Ag specifically, we've noticed, have used the exercises for better sleep as well as for mindfulness. So you can check that out by downloading our app at Spring Health Mobile. Also looking into dedicated support. So you have the opportunity to meet with a care navigator, unlimited basis, which are 20-minute phone calls with master level clinicians. And then we also offer at United Ag unlimited therapy and medication management. And I'll go over what that looks like in the next couple of slides. But just so we get a better understanding of what the benefit looks like and how it works, initially you would take a quick wellness assessment. So this will give you an idea of where you are in your mental health journey. And then you would go into receiving a customized treatment plan based on what it is that you want to work on and challenges that you're facing. And then from there, your care team will work with you to understand what care process makes most sense, whether it be meeting with a provider or continuing to use CBT tools that we offer as well. So I wanted to take a second here and just share a quick video with you to share what the Moments piece looks like. Hopefully get you a little bit excited about this new tool that we released. And as I mentioned before, there are exercises and content built into the app, but we'll continuously build this out over the next couple of months as well. Great. So as I mentioned, this is available to all members. And then once you initially register for Spring, you'll have access to this. And this is definitely something that will be part of provider homework assessments going into the holidays, understanding that some people won't be able to do their normal holiday traditions, and hoping that these exercises can at least help you through those moments. And so going to what can you help or can you work with Spring Health on? So the idea here is that we're providing care in a much shorter amount of time than previous services. So within those 5 minutes of taking the initial assessment, you'll get an immediate care plan, giving you access to the whole suite of services. You can book a meeting with a care navigator within 48 hours, and most of our providers actually have sessions available within the first 48 hours. At the very least, you'll meet with one within the first week of booking a session. So really, where does this change for United Ag members working with Spring Health? That means that you get better faster. And so really being able to double the number of recovery rates that we're seeing with members and having an ultimate recovery rate of 8 weeks faster, whether it be conditions around depression and anxiety, different conditions that folks are facing at United Ag. The idea here is that using machine-based learning, we're able to minimize that window that people are meeting with providers. So what can Spring help you with? Obviously, today's focus will be around the holidays, but other things that we can discuss with our members around daily life, whether it be family problems, financial problems, legal assistance. Other things that you can talk to about us with is social challenges. So specifically within COVID, we've seen a rise in feelings of isolation, feelings of loneliness, and really being able to take a step back and recognize those cognitive behavioral thinking patterns is what Spring is here for. So taking a look at when should you speak with Spring. On the right side here, and just breaking all presentation protocols, I'll just list up a couple that we hear the most commonly. So trouble focusing at work, changes in eating or sleeping patterns, denial of obvious problems. I'm listing conditions that, again, we see with our current members. One thing I would like to share is that in the last couple of months, we've seen increases in certain conditions that we didn't see outside of COVID. And I do like to share that, you're not alone in this, and being able to talk with a provider or even a clinician about this can make the ultimate difference in really minimizing the feelings of isolation and loneliness. And wanted to share, what does that mean for United Ag members specifically? So the offering is some of my favorite slides to go through with your team members specifically, just because your organization has really invested heavily into your mental well-being, from offering unlimited care navigators with those master level clinicians, all the way to offering free unlimited therapy sessions and psych sessions if needed. So what that looks like is that once you're able to meet with a care navigator and it makes sense for you to move on to therapy, United Ag has covered those costs. So you can meet with a therapist and a psychiatrist if needed on an unlimited free basis. So really making it super convenient for you to be able to access help. The therapy is available on weekends as well as evenings. And you can also have 24/7 access to crisis support. Awesome. So how do you get started with Spring? If you go to unitedag.springhealth.com, you would register using your email address. You can also, again, download the Spring Health app mobile. This would give you access to our Moments tool. And on the right side here, other ways for us or for you to reach us, you can reach out to us on our phone number, 240-558-5796. But mostly to the best user experience would be go to unitedag.springhealth.com, just so you can go ahead and complete your assessment and get your personalized care started. One thing that we wanted to promote as we go into the next couple of months here is, given that the holiday season is right around the corner, we are offering a chance to win one of 10 $50 Visa gift cards. So if you activate your account by November 1st, whether you have already activated it since launch or are activating it in the next couple of days here, you will be entered automatically into a raffle that lets you win one of 10 $50 Visa gift cards. I quickly just want to go over the registration process. That way we can go ahead and get to the meditation exercise here. But the member invitations, this will be sent to your email address if you haven't already signed up.
One second, everyone. Looks like we're experiencing another technical issue. Oh, she's back.
Sorry, guys. Seeing someone signing into my credentials, but hopefully Siri's not listening too much. Awesome. So going back to the member invitations, can everyone hear me okay and see the screen okay?
Yes.
Thanks, Maribel. So going back to the member invitations, these are customized invitation links. You're able to activate your benefit just through the click through of a button, and then going into what that looks like for registration. So we do ask for some types of personal information to be able to confirm your eligibility for this benefit. And this is also our way to be able to make sure that our providers fall within your geography. So go into details on what the member care journey looks like. So it's really 4 simple steps. As I mentioned before, you take that 5-minute assessment, be matched to a personalized care plan, and then meet with a care navigator to be able to begin accessing your benefits. So screening, one question we often get is what are the results of screening? So we test for the 9 most commonly seen mental health conditions, depression and anxiety being the 2 most common that we see with our partners. Keeping in mind that this is at no cost to you. It's really just being able to get a good gauge of where you are in your mental health journey. There's no right or wrong answer here. We're just trying to figure out, what are the opportunities for you to get better. Treatment matching. So from the assessment, we have a better idea of where you are in your journey. And then at this point, we'll be able to give you clinically validated ways to be able to improve your mental health, at which point you're then linked with a care navigator. So our care navigators are licensed social workers. It's a 20-minute call you can make within 2 days of your initial assessment. And they'll be your point of contact, kind of your hand-holding you through the process of care. So whether it be your first time working with a mental health service, they'll be the person for you. In those 20 minutes, they'll be able to walk you through what to expect, as well as what other resources you can leverage in your experience. And then lastly, if it makes sense for you to meet with a provider, you are able to meet with a provider through our mobile app as well as through Zoom. This is a network of trusted Spring Health providers, so they're all licensed clinicians. We focus heavily on our quality network And one thing I do want to share specifically with the United Ag team is that if it makes sense to you, you can actually ask for a specific language or demographic that you would like to work with when it comes to your provider. So this is something that you would work with your care navigator. Great, and so one of my favorite slides to go over and just share with you, since we released Spring Health to your team back in the summertime, and two of the testimonials that we received from your team is super, I think, just emphasizes the meaning behind having a mental health program being offered by your team. So I'm just going to read this out loud. Again, these are 2 United Ag members that are currently using Spring Health. So off and on, I've dealt with low to moderate levels of depression and anxiety my whole life, but I've never spoken with a therapist about these issues, so this will be a good first step for me. I'm glad I got the email saying I had these benefits. In the midst of preparing to retire in the next year, work life and personal life have been impacted by the effects of shelter in place related to COVID-19 and the wildfires burning nearby. Simply making the phone call made me feel better, knowing that I have help to find a professional to help me navigate current circumstances as well as the transitions ahead. So again, trying to emphasize here that there's really no limitation in what you can talk to us about. And in terms of your colleagues who are experiencing similar problems, you're not alone in this. Great, so you can go and activate your benefits today at unitedag.springhealth.com. Looking at the time here, we have about 9 minutes left. So I am actually going to go to the next slide here and share our favorite exercise that we're sharing the next couple of months. I'll be releasing or sharing with your team at United Ag some resources around how to combat holiday blues, ways to talk to your kids about the holidays being a little bit different this year. But today I wanted to share one of our favorite exercises that our providers share with our members is called the worry list. So a method that we like to promote is creating a worry list. So grabbing a piece of scrap paper and really just writing out everything that's on your mind. One technique is pulling it out of your worry box. So when you get home from work, and I say that in quotations, but it's really just an important way to schedule the time to worry, right? So you want to imagine a box, and in this box, you place all your worries from your work as well as your life in it. And then when you're ready to start worrying again, whether it be tomorrow, the box will be there, and you visualize yourself putting those worries to rest. And every day that you do this, really just being able to compartmentalize the ideas that you have and the things that you're worried about, making sure that's not delaying and disrupting other important parts of your life. So an alternative way to do this, and this is something that I personally like to do, is just scheduling your worry time, which sounds very silly, but with the holidays coming up, I find this super effective. I schedule 10 minutes a day. The promotion here is to do 30 minutes a day, but I do 10 minutes where I just think of everything that I can possibly worry about within that 10 minutes. And then I promise myself outside of those 10 minutes, I'm not allowed to think of all those worries, right? So you're not allowed to ruminate on what it is, and being able to really schedule the time for you to, one, process and allow yourself to feel things, but also to recognize that you are having a hard time. These practices have, proven to be able to help reduce burnout as well as create more balance, but we'll be releasing other resources as well to be able to combat the holiday blues in the next couple months. And last but not least, just a reminder on the Moments piece that is live for all United Ag members now. So it's unlimited and it's free access through your app. Today I actually had a video set up for us, but I did want to leave some time for questions and start there. And if we have 5 minutes extra, I'll go ahead and start the meditation as well. So let me just scroll here and see if there are any questions.
We do have a question from Priscilla Gutierrez.
Great. So how can we prepare for seasonal depression? Can we start with supplements now to begin combating this? Can therapy help get through this? That's a great question. So I'll go ahead and answer this live. So specifically with this question, Priscilla, you want to speak. So you want to first register for Spring. And I say that because I'm not quite sure where you are in your mental health journey. And I want to make sure you speak with a licensed clinician on this. When it comes to certain concerns around seasonal depression, if that's something you've experienced in the past, that's something you'd want to share with your care navigator and your licensed provider. If it would make sense for you to then move forward with psychiatric appointments and get med management, that is something that your provider would be able to recommend, and also be able to provide you the right resources to get that before the season starts. In my experience and in stories that we've heard from members, therapy is very much an ongoing process, right? So it's not a one-time thing and you're healed the next day. Really just understanding what you're struggling with during the seasons is usually a first step in being able to understand what care makes most sense for you. So if you want to, I can send you a personal invite, that way you can get started on this. But I would definitely strongly suggest to meet with a licensed clinician to have these conversations. Thanks for sharing that. Any other questions, guys? I really do appreciate everyone's time here. I know this year has been very strange for many of us, but I think going into the holidays, it's really most important to begin taking your mental health care seriously. Outside of what's happening in our world today, it's usually the time of year that folks do reach out for extra support. So you're not alone in this. Another question we got is, what are some recommendations you have for finding a therapist that best suits you? That's a fantastic question. So I can also share with the team a resource on what to expect in your first therapy session. I would recommend a couple of questions you can ask when you're first working with a care navigator, just really understanding what it is you're looking for. So our care team can share with you demographics of our providers. Aside from that, there are specialties that exist within our network. So if there's a certain theme that you want to work on, for example, if LGBTQ, outside of that, couples counseling, these are the types of services that you could offer depending on the individual's journey and where they are. The recommendations around that is being able to get real about what it is you want to meet with a therapist for and sharing this with your care navigator. Our care navigators are well-versed in our provider network. So if you shared with them what it is you're looking for in a therapist, they'll be able to give you recommendations based on the state that you live in. Hopefully that's helpful.
We have another question that came in. Can someone be too early in calling for therapy?
So could you repeat that question again?
Can someone be too early in calling for therapy?
Absolutely not. So it's interesting you asked that. I actually, when I first reached out, and this is my own experience, my first therapy session ended really quickly just because I was very shy during my first therapy session. There's no such thing as too early. This is kind of the value prop here at Spring Health, is that we're not only eliminating every barrier to mental health, but really getting an understanding of what mental health looks like. So it's not necessarily just crisis support, right? There's this whole spectrum of mental health. So if you want to work on your mental health, it requires time and effort in that. So when it comes to therapy and reaching out to a care navigator, the first step is really just reaching out. That's the hardest part, I think. So there's no too early when it comes to therapy. And if it's not something that works for you, you don't necessarily need to continue therapy. So we have some folks and some members who have tried therapy once or twice, and then it's not something that they need for a number of months afterwards, but just knowing that that resource is available for you is usually half the battle. It's a great question. And with this deck, I'll share this with Maribel, but I will also share a resource on what to expect in your first therapy session. I think that could be really helpful for this group.
That'd be great. Any more questions? We have 2 minutes.
Awesome. I'm a little sad we weren't able to share our 5-minute meditation, but that just means everyone has to go download the app now and try through the moments pieces.
They will actually have to meditate.
Yes.
How about we do that? Brittany, and if anyone has any more questions, where can they reach you? Should they have any questions, or, we don't want to end the conversation here.
So if you actually, once you register for Spring, you'll have access to our entire care team. So you'll be given a dedicated care navigator to work through those questions. If there's anything specific that you want to learn about the United Ag account, you can also reach out to them and let them know that that we've had this conversation, and then we can go from there.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. And again, I've cannot emphasize enough that the holidays will be different for everyone this year. And hoping in the next couple of months here, we'll be sharing other resources to get us through this. 2020 will end, but some of these problems will exist, unfortunately, going into 2021. And it's really important to take care of yourself and remember to put yourself first during these times.
Absolutely. And with that, thank you, Brittany. And I also want to encourage all of our attendees to encourage your colleagues who speak Spanish to join us next week in Charlas Saludables, where the Spring Health team will be providing the same information, but in Spanish. So if they haven't registered, just go ahead and email us at membership@unitedag.org and we will get them registered. With that, I think we're ready to end this webinar. So thank you to us, our friends at Spring Health. Thank you, Brittany. And most important, thank you to our sponsors, CVS, Sign, Elite Medical, and HCP National. Everyone have a wonderful Friday.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.